Ah, London. It's one of those places, right? A city of dreams, but also a city of massive contradictions. You've got this incredible, unimaginable wealth, and then right next door, just crushing hardship. So you have to ask, how did one of the world's greatest cities become basically impossible to live in for so many of its own people? Well, let's get into it.
Look, on the surface, London is absolutely booming. It's one of the planet's top financial hubs, right? This is where huge fortunes are made, where they're managed. It's like this giant magnet for the global elite, just pulling in this tidal wave of cash from all over the world.
And hey, let's put some numbers to that. We're talking about a city with over 200,000 millionaires. It has more private jets flying in and out than anywhere else in Europe. That's the London we all picture in our heads, this glittering, golden city just brimming with opportunity.
But if you peel back that shiny surface just a little bit, you find something totally different, a completely different reality. Think about the nurses, the teachers, the bus drivers, the people who actually make the city work. For them, the story isn't about private jets. It's about a daily grinding struggle.
And this might be the most shocking number of all. Get this, more than 1 in every 4 Londoners officially lives in poverty. Just let that sink in for a second. That's over 2 million people in one of the wealthiest cities on the entire planet, just struggling to make ends meet.
So the question is, how on earth did this happen? How did a city that's supposed to be world-class become a place where just a normal life feels completely out of reach for so many? Okay, to really get what's going on, we have to start by looking at the symptoms. And this is what we're calling London's Great Paradox. You have a city that's just overflowing with cash, but at the same time, the basic cost of living has just spiraled completely out of control. And the most painful symptom of all has to be housing. Just look at these numbers. In just 8 years, that's not a long time, the median rent for a new lease has skyrocketed by 80%. 80! That's the kind of number that pushes people to the absolute brink.
So what does that actually look like for a real person? Well, on average, Londoners are spending nearly half of their income, 46%, just to keep a roof over their heads. That is 50% more than the rest of the UK. Seriously, just imagine getting your paycheck and almost half of it vanishes before you've even had a chance to buy groceries. And here's the cruelest twist in this whole paradox. People move to London for the better jobs, for the higher paychecks, right? But the reality is, you earn more, but you actually live worse. Because once you factor in those totally insane housing costs, even people on good salaries have less money to spend. And to make it all worse, real wages? They haven't really budged since 2008. This kind of financial pressure, it's not abstract. It has real, tangible consequences. When desperation goes up, so does crime. Just last year, shoplifting jumped by over 35%. Think about that. You go into a supermarket now and you see basic stuff like cheese and meat locked up in security boxes. That is not the sign of a healthy city. So yeah, how did we get to this point? This didn't just happen overnight. To find the real answers, we've got to go back in time and look at a few key decisions made over the last century, decisions that really planted the seeds for the crisis we're seeing today. And as you can see here, it really boils down to 3 big moments. First, a plan back in the 1930s to basically put a fence around the city. Then, a policy in the 80s to sell off public housing. And finally, a whole decade of austerity and underinvestment that kicked off in 2008. All right, first up, the Green Belt. Now, this started as a really well-intentioned idea back in the 30s. The goal was to stop London from just endlessly sprawling out into the beautiful countryside. But there was a huge unintended consequence. It put a hard limit on the amount of land available for new homes, creating this artificial scarcity that we are feeling in a big way today. Okay, next, let's talk about social housing. If you go back to the 1960s, 1 out of every 3 homes in the UK was public social housing. It was this absolutely crucial safety net. But then came the right to buy scheme, and this let tenants buy the home they were living in for a huge discount. But here was the catch, and it's a big one. The councils, they weren't allowed to use the money they made from those sales to build new social housing. So the public housing stock was sold off piece by piece, and it was never replaced. And the result today? A waiting list in London with 330,000 households on it. That safety net, it's pretty much gone.
So now you've got this combination of limited land to build on and hardly any social housing left. It created the perfect storm. It basically turned London property from a place to live into a global investment asset. The city became a marketplace for the world's super rich.
And the result of that? It's staggering. In 2023, nearly half, 45% of all property bought in central London was snapped up by foreign buyers. And for a lot of them, a London flat isn't a home. It's just an investment, like a stock or a bar of gold. And the impact that has on local people is direct and it's devastating. One study actually found that if you took away that flood of foreign cash, average property prices would be almost 20% lower. Think about that. Londoners are literally being outbid for their own city. But look, it's not just the housing market that's been, sold off. Years and years of privatization and austerity, they've worn down the very fabric of daily life in London. And it's the residents, the people who actually live there, who are paying the price. Just take the city's water supply, for example. Thames Water was privatized way back in 1989. Since then, it's paid out over £7 billion to its shareholders, racked up $18 billion in debt, and just let its pipes and infrastructure crumble. And what's the result for Londoners? Sewage spills, failing systems, and now they're facing a 31% hike in their water bills just to bail out the company. And you see this kind of decay everywhere you look. There's a 17 times billion-pound backlog for road repairs. 1 in every 6 students is in a school that needs major work. Over 200 of the city's bridges are rated as poor. This is what the daily reality of underinvestment actually looks like. So after hearing all of that, we get to the most important question of all. Can London be fixed? I mean, is there a way out of this mess? Or is the city just destined to become a playground exclusively for the rich? Well, there is a path forward, and it really centers on one single word: supply. That means we need to build way more affordable homes. It means strategically rethinking parts of the Greenbelt and developing all those unused industrial sites. And yeah, it also means tamping down on speculation, maybe with higher taxes on empty homes and better controls on foreign investment. So really, London is at a crossroads. It's one of the most productive economic engines on the entire planet, but it's failing its own people. And that leaves us with one final fundamental question: who is London for? Is it a city for the millions of people who live there and keep it running every single day? Or is it just a safe deposit box for global wealth? The answer to that question is going to define its future.